Now, Mickey Palmer, tell me about Pat McNally.
Well, the first time that I got in contact with him was at Jimmy Welsh's, and he brought me upstairs and they gave me a rope, and that's when it started. Continued on for that then for years, but we moved up to the mid-house.
That's right.
And who was Jimmy Welsh?
Jimmy Welsh
The bicycle shop there at O'Donnell's have it now, the Octagon.
Okay, right, yeah. So
he kept us together.
in what way, like, did he keep you together? Did he train you?
The bicycles.
Did he train you, coach you?
No.
Would he manage you, kind of?
We had hump oil coaching. You'd done your own. I was out every morning before I go to work, and I out again in the evening. And Castle Bear would always give out. You're always out on the road where they say, don't own it. They said, if you get up, you can't go out. But we used to do about 200 miles a week training.
That was a lot of training then. But then you got the results because you came out on top at the end.
I was going to bed when they were going to dances.
Yeah. And Pat McNally, was he a cyclist himself, was he?
Yeah, I know, Pat didn't know. He was in all sports.
He was into sports?
Yes.
And what contribution kind of did he make to cycling specifically? Was it?
No,
did he manage you or did he?
No, he just done our massage.
He done the massaging for you. Yeah. You like Porky McGree?
Yeah.
Same thing.
And
the Porky succeeded him. He did it.
We made out our own training course for ourselves.
What do you remember of him, Eddie?
Well, him being my grandfather, like, I remember going up to the mill house as a child, visiting up there, seeing the lads coming in, having, as he called it, the robe down at the time with the wintergreen, and the smell of wintergreen all over the house.
Oh, yeah.
You get it as you were approaching the house, never mind in the house. But I think he gave a lot of encouragement to anybody that was involved in sport, because he was back in the time now when Mayo was coming up now for the All-Ireland final again. We were photographed.
He was massaging them.
He was massaging the players.
Mayo team. They were massaging that time.
1950-51. There's a picture of him at home with the Sam Maguire.
Yeah.
And hopefully, on the 23rd of September.
We might get it this year.
We might get it. But he's a man that loves sport. Every kind of sport.
Oh, yeah.
You see him heading into town on his bicycle and visiting all the local shops and that. Anything to do with sport at all. And I say he gave a lot of encouragement to any young fellas that were taking up sport. At the time, when there wasn't really there was no emphasis on it. Like, if you went to school, like, it was the GEA and that was it. All the sport was really mentioned. Or catered for, really. But,
and where did he work himself?
He worked in the Domain.
And what did he work at down there?
He worked in the sawmills in the Domain. He lived down there until he retired, and then he moved up to the mill house, which is up there at the back of the convent. A beautiful place.
And they had a sawmill down Westport House that time, did they?
Yeah.
Where was it?
I'm not sure exactly where the sawmill was.
Do you know where it was, Mickey?
Which?
The sawmills in Westport House.
Pat, he used to do a lot of timber work on that for repair and stuff for the Domain.
And where were the timber works there? Was there a specific?
In the yard there where the offices are now.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
The farmyard.
Yeah, he had a corner, the farmyard. Yes.
He actually lived in the farmyard. He had a house in the farmyard. There where the archway is, where you go into it.
Now, was he a married man?
He was, yeah.
Who was he married to?
His wife, her name was Conway.
Conway.
She died in 1934 in childbirth.
Yeah,
and he was a relatively young
like
man.
Like the family
at the time.
were only just.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they were young.
My mother was the eldest, and she was 18 at the time.
Yeah.
And I think the youngest was Emily, and I don't.
She had to do mother then.
She had to become the mother then.
And how many children did they have at the time?
8.
8 children.
Yeah. And the strange thing is, they are my mother and a sister who died, which was very young. They're all alive. Oh, my uncle Michael, he died. The rest of them are alive.
Yeah.
Okay, and it sounds like an interesting man.
He was a very interesting man. He could talk on a lot of topics. You know.
He had his work cut out for 8 children and no mother at the time. Yeah. And where did he live? He lived on the Domain when he was working there? Yeah. Did everybody live down to the main when they were working on it, I think, distinctly?
I know there was people outside as well.
Oh, yeah. Do you remember the domain? Mickey, yeah?
What?
Do you remember the domain?
Oh, I do, yes.
You used to go through it and all that, you would?
Yes, yes. I remember going in one morning going to work and there was a duck going along near the bridge and I ran over his neck but he still kept going. He fell into the tide.
And what
I didn't get him.
What did you have? A bike is there
Yeah.
in the bike?
Yeah, this cup is donated by the McNally family in memory of my late grandfather, Pat McNally. Pat was a lover of all things athletic, and in particular he had a soft spot for cycling. And he coached a great generation of cyclers around that time. Grady and Burke, and of course Mickey Palmer, the very famous Mickey Palmer. We've got some photographs in his family album with at least 20 or 30 copies, won through various cyclists. And he had a great passion for all things to do with cycling and sport. So it's just a way of remembering him and continuing on the tradition and trying to keep the cycling alive. And I'm glad to say it's in rude health in Westwood at the moment. There's a great bunch of cyclists.
Was cycling his biggest interest?
It was one of his. He loved all things athletic because he was he saw for the Mayo football team in the 50s. He loved athletics. He'd go over to Crystal Palace and watch the athletics there. But cycling was his passion. It really was.